Welcome to Feisty Chess. Here we go. E4. We're paired with Masango on Lee Chess at a 10-5 game. Let's stay feisty. Go with the Morra Gambit. Just finished a game where I played the Alekhines defense and missed a pretty straightforward win. Two factors: time trouble being one ever-present factor, and then number two, I'd looked at a position and tried to go for a simpler win, and I even overlooked something in a simpler line. I basically got lazy in a critical position where I needed to calculate. So I'm going to save my time in this game for when I actually need to calculate. So in the meantime, I'm going to trot out these Morra moves that I know by heart. Get your typical Morra position. Okay, we've got something different here. I guess queen e2 makes sense. There's also bishop b3. He's probably going to play b5 anyway, so bishop b3 is probably more flexible. Okay. Keeps our queen on the d file. She has a little more scope here than on e2. Let's go ahead and castle. Okay. Can I get away with knight d5 here? Maybe I can once I get a piece on the e file. Was rook e1 or queen e2? I think the queen sitting on d6 is still good. Sitting on the d file is still good. Rook e1, knight g6, knight d5. I don't have to go for that yet. Takes with check. Knight here. Yeah, okay, let's just... Actually, that'll work with queen e2, which is maybe a little better because the rook wants to come to d1. Queen e2, flexible anyway. I don't have to commit to knight d4, d5 here. But it looks pretty good, doesn't it? No, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work just yet. Let's just get the rook to d1. Hope I didn't miss my chance, but he does have to get his bishop out before he castles. Okay. All right, let's just develop. We'll get a rook on the c file. His queen will be a little awkward. Is a4 a good idea here? Let's first go for rook c1. Let's not get too far back, too far behind on time. He has to figure out where that queen goes. Oh, it's not going anywhere. Now knight d5 looks good. Let's do it. The knight can come to b6 next. Okay. Open up that e file. That knight isn't going anywhere. Okay, I got some choices here. I can take immediately, or I've also got bishop g5. He might be able to wiggle out with knight d4. No, he won't. That doesn't work. Bishop g5, he's got f6. Okay, this is a simpler continuation. Probably bishop e6 here. Let's take here, create a weakness on e6. Maybe knight g5 next. Or knight d4. I think I like knight d4 a little better. He can't exchange that piece off. I think he'd have to go for bishop g5 if I went knight g5. So here he can't trade off. He's still up a pawn. No. Did I regain my pawn? Gosh, I lose count. Ooh, that's a super passive move. I love to see it. Okay, here I might consider a check, just to loosen that king side a little bit, and then a queen to g. Well, no, this immediate queen to g5 is a double attack. Queen g4. Yeah, I'm threatening this, which is bad news because he'll lose the rook if I'm able to grab that. We got our pawn back in capturing this pawn here. Okay, he's not necessarily going to lose the rook here. He'll get it to the second rank. But once I go queen g8, queen g7 the best here, or maybe queen h3 to keep the pressure on. I'm opening up the king side for a potential attack by him. His rook comes here, I go queen g8. If he castles long, I go knight e6. And I'm on his queen, so I'm up a couple of pawns. I like the looks of this. And if he ever tries queen here, he won't be able to castle queen side to defend this pawn. And then I can also push my my passer there. Let's just jump to g8. Okay, he can't recapture this with his knight because I'll just grab the rook. So this should be good. Up a couple of pawns and probably going up an exchange here. I could recapture the knight with check. That might be just as good. But I'd rather have the rook. my bishop would sort of dominate this knight on e6, d6 anyway. Yeah, let's go for the rook. What do you do if you're black here? What do you do if you're black here? You can't afford to trade queens, so you can't move that bishop. You can't move your queen anywhere and keep protecting the bishop. So maybe you need to harass my queen with like knight back to f8, but that doesn't seem like a very useful move. Okay, we're trading queens. And I will gladly trade bishops as well. After rook to g8, we'll have to maybe move our king off that same file as the rook, and then threaten to hit that knight and grab this pawn. But I don't really need to grab that pawn to win. Let's just get our king centralized. Actually, I think f4 will win this pawn after rook to h5. Let's just keep our rooks active. We don't need to. Plan to give a check on the 7th rank here. And if he wants to take that pawn with his king now, he'll need to give up his knight. Yeah. Okay. Good game, Masango. Thank you for the game. Relatively quick here. So, Smith-Morra Gambit. Yeah, what I like here, I mean, white's got 3 pieces out, black has none. This queen comes out. I'm going to check the book moves here. Let's open the analysis board and look at the openings book. Queen e2 and bishop b3, both are played in this position. Smith-Morra doesn't get played a ton at the top level, so the database isn't exactly chock full of Smith-Morra games. Knight c6. Castles. No game found. Interesting. So the idea is to get the knight here, as black did, and then he's got the 2 center pawns. He can consolidate. He can get castled. He still has problems. Big problem with that light square bishop, as you can see, getting kind of buried. And if I can creep up with my space advantage, I can really keep his queenside buried. So the nice thing about the Morra is it's not just all tactics. It's not all just activity compensation. You can get long-term positional binds quite frequently, especially if this pawn gets up to e5 and this pawn remains backwards on d7, and white has just monster control over the d6 square with a rook sometimes on d1 or a queen on the d file. A bishop on f4 backs it up. You can get a knight to e4 and you can just lay claim to that square, and that pawn is never moving unless black wants to get rid of it. So yeah, there's lots of positional compensation in the Morra. It's not just, I'm going to checkmate you. There's many variations of the Morra which go along just positionally crushing lines while you're a pawn down. I wonder about knight d5 immediately. Oh, look at that. The computer loves it. I know that knight d5 is good when there's a queen on c7. The computer loves that here. I actually throw away my advantage by not playing knight d5. So yeah, let's look at it. This is the interesting piece. It wants knight takes d5 instead of pawn takes. We'll look at that, and then we'll look at the critical line. Now knight to a5 to hit that bishop. Bishop to c2. b5 just to get the bishop activated. And he can try to win this pawn because the queen can't take because this is hanging. But just rook e1 check and bishop e7, and look at this. Queen d4. Who cares about our light square bishop here? We are going after this. Let's see this. Queen takes g7. Rook has to come here. It says king d8, but if the rook comes here, we're just... is that the move? Or it's queen... No, rook takes e7. Look at this. King takes, bishop g5, king d6. This is something. Queen takes here, check, king c6. Knight d4, we're forking the queen. We're probably not going to even go after the queen though. King b6. Oh, bishop. Does this work? Bishop here? No. Queen b4. King a7. Knight b5. Just get out of the way with that knight, huh? That's beautiful. d6, and then it's just mate. Okay. All hail the Morra Gambit, folks. Knight d5 leads to all that in this position. Knight d5 right away. I played too timidly, not feisty enough. Knight d5, sometimes you just have to play it on instinct and on feel. If you're going to be hitting this knight with your pawn recapture, the critical line would go like this. If you're going to be hitting this knight, it's usually a good idea. And I should have known this was good. I was worried about black being able to save some things with, say, well, no, d6 hits the queen, so it doesn't matter. This knight can't run away. Yeah, I should have seen this. It's a little bit late, and the game's a little bit quick, but I should have seen that. That's a very common kind of Morra tactic. You're not even really giving up a piece. And many times knight d5 is the right move, even when you are giving up a piece and you can't see the immediate compensation, because there's just such activity and danger to the black king who gets stuck in the center. But here, you know, if you're going to move this knight, I mean, you could try this. G takes f3, and you're still white doesn't even need to go for that immediately. He's just torturing white here, torturing black here. But yeah, let's try queen a5 instead. Rook e1 is still just as good, and black can't try to get out of the pin because now this wins a second piece. And he can't try this kind of business because look at this bishop. He can't try to wiggle out of the pin like that. Queen f5. Queen d4. Just centralize that queen. Who cares about g3? If takes g3, then bishop g5, f6. Now d takes e7. Queen can come here to c4. Looking at f7. d5 is best. Just... all right, we've got this. First we can play this, but why not? Why not this first? Why not? Queen g4 check. I guess that's one reason why not. But yeah, black is just a piece up here. Sorry, white, that is. King takes f8. Save our bishop. So yeah, typical stuff with a knight d5 in the Morra. It's always sad when you miss a chance to play knight d5, but the game went well for me, so I can't complain too much. I'm getting that rook on the d file, getting both of these rooks. I mean, this is your dream setup in the Morra. You've got this big Italian bishop. You've got this bishop watching over some key, the d4 square in the center. The rooks are the prize, the crown jewel here. They are looking down both of these open files, and the queen is sitting opposite them. Bishop d7 is a lazy move here. You gotta do something about that queen. Queen b8 maybe. Yeah. Then the knight comes in. Took immediately. Queen b7 is preferred by the computer. Because the knight's not really hitting anything, right? It's just kind of sitting there annoyingly. And black is still up a pawn. So taking so quickly was a big mistake. It's not always the right thing to do to take that knight. But now knight to g5 is the move. Wonder if I would have been able to find that here if he hadn't taken so quickly. Knight g5, what's the idea with that? Rook c8, are we going to sack on f7? Knight b6. Well, that was my plan anyway. What if takes after knight d5? Now we can take with the bishop and we're hitting f7. Pretty painfully hitting f7. What if black tries this? Oh, there's bishop takes c6. That bishop has to stay on c6. Bishop e7. And now the king can't castle. We've got a pawn for our troubles. For our piece. Bishop takes g6. Queen check. Some bishop f6 kind of fix some of that. Rook takes d6. We got another pawn. Knight e5. Queen f4. King g8. Rook takes f6. We're giving up an exchange. Now we're down a rook for 3 pawns. Is that the line? But it's looking awfully dangerous once we kick this knight away. Is that all it takes? Can take on g5. Huh. White's just up some material here. That's black surviving the attack, and white's up 2 pawns. Anyway, that's a pretty deep line. A little too deep, maybe for usefulness, but it's fun to look at these kinds of what-ifs, especially with such virulent or violent attacks going on. So d takes c6. Let's see. Yeah. Bishop e7, d takes c6, it likes the best. Now bishop g4, bishop e6. Yeah, bishop takes is the right way to deal with this. Then knight g5 it likes better. No, it does like knight d4 better. It's a toss-up. Knight g5, I didn't like that he could trade off these pieces. And actually he can get castled here, although that's going to cost him a couple of pawns. So you're just down 2 pawns here. So here, after trading off, black can just go e5. That makes more sense. Queen g4, letting black castle. Queen e6 check. We're still going to get this d6 pawn, and this e5 will be weak. Queen f7 it likes better. Oh, I see. Now I've got to take. It likes king takes better than rook takes. We can push this anyway. Knight f4 threatening a fork. Rook c6. It's a game. It looks like a game to me, but that c7 pawn is such a danger that black just is down a piece functionally, according to the computer. Huh. Pawns are even, though. Material's even. There's just such harmony between the pieces in the Morra Gambit, and so many possible plans that black has to watch out for. So bishop takes e6, and then, yeah, knight d4 also being good. Queen c8, it says he should drop back and defend. And then I was liking the looks of just c7. Queen g4 puts more pressure on. Yeah, and now knight f8 is impossible because this rook is a goner. And if he comes here to guard the rook, then we just, well, go c7. The rook is still kind of stuck. Likes bishop f4 the best here, seemingly walking into this fork. And if takes, knight takes d6. Oof. Black's got to walk into that. That's probably not even the best move, is it? Knight takes b5. Yeah. Just violent destruction with the Morra. I wonder why bishop f4 is better. Queen g4 is clearly good enough. Oh, it wants knight takes e6 immediately. Oh, I didn't see this, because after taking the queen, I get to take yours, and I get your rook in the corner. That was a simple continuation that I missed. But I saw a good move, and rather than looking for a better one, I played it. And sometimes that's what you need to do, a lot of times, in a time control like this. Queen g8, and now castles, and now knight takes e6. Just, it likes rook takes h8 the best, to lose the exchange that way. Queen takes h8, and then the knight can grab this. And now the queen has to move. Okay. Well, I won the exchange. Traded some pieces. And, yeah. Pretty simple tactic to finish. So, all right, I snuck 2 games in tonight. At least I won my second game. My first game was a little more frustrating. The Alekhines defense, which I'm still working out. But it wasn't the fault of the opening. It rarely is. It was the fault of my tactical laziness in that game. So, all right, we caught up. We missed one yesterday, so we got 2 in today. So hopefully get one in tomorrow. Stay feisty, folks.